I should change my resolution
All
to
right.
720.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me. It is tea time. It's kind of late at night, but we're doing a live. I've been wanting to do this again with you guys. The last time I did it, I think it was last week, and everyone loved it. We had a nice guy from the UK on. Today, we have a really nice guy from New Jersey on, Trevor Current. Hey Trevor, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad, not bad. Tell everyone who you are. I know there's only a few people on so far, but that's okay. They can always watch this later on. We're just kind of like hanging out. Before I have you tell everyone who you are, I just want to tell you guys that I think we're going to do this for maybe about an hour. And then we might taper it off and either quit then or we might go a little bit longer. The last time we were on, it was like 2 hours. It was like a long time. And that was just like way too long. So we'll probably cut it short. I want to say that if you have any questions, it doesn't matter if it's photography, videography, or tech, or Starlink, or whatever the case is, in the chat window, put those questions and either myself or Trevor Current will answer them for you. This is all just about having a conversation. So if you like this kind of stuff, let me know in the comment area so that I know to do more of them. Last time people really loved it. That's why we're doing this one. And I just want to ask you guys all the time, do you like it? Do you not? Whatever. But this is going to be kind of laid back, you know, a lot of flubs and everything. That's just normal procedure, what goes on here. No edits, right? And there might be a little bit of swearing. So if you don't like swearing, you might want to kind of log off now because, you know, we kind of get into it a little bit and just kind of shoot it, so to speak. Anyways, Trevor, tell everyone who you are.
Yeah, I'm Trevor Current. I am a web and graphic designer and photographer, videographer. Joe and I have worked together a lot in the past on the Digital Photography Cafe show, and every once in a while I like jumping in and saying hi to everybody and shooting it with Joe for a little while.
Yes, so yeah, we've been doing this. If you guys don't know, Trevor Current is that guy that I talk about sometimes on the channel where I used to do a podcast with Trevor called Digital Photography Cafe, and we did it for about, what was it, like 10 years, decade, somewhere on there, 8 years, 12 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a long time. And we would travel the countryside, basically doing all the different shows like PPE, Photo Plus Expo, WPPI, which is the wedding photographer. Anyways, we would go from Las Vegas all the way to New York City. And we would do all the different shows. We would get a booth and we would broadcast live these podcasts before anyone knew what the hell a podcast was. And be able to broadcast from these shows was just absolutely unheard of. And we did it. There was very few people that were able to do it at the time, and we were doing it. So it was really a lot of fun. And then things kind of like, you know, everything happens the way it does. Trevor ended up getting sick, and then I ended up doing my own thing, which is the JCristina channel that you see today. So that's kind of like the history. We've been friends literally for well over a decade now. So it's really cool to have you on. So we're just going to be kind of shooting it, like I said today. Any questions that you have, stick them in the chat window. I want to just say something about Sony, and I want to get your thoughts about it. The set 3 videos ago, anyways, I did a show, and it was called something like Sony Pulls Manufacturing Out of China. And I just want to get your thoughts on that. I mean, we've been in the photographic industry for so many years. You know, what do you think about this? And this isn't just China, Trevor. This is, you know, or this isn't just Sony. This is Canon, Nikon. This is Dell Computer. This is like major manufacturers are pulling all of their people and those plants to just shut them down in China, and they're moving into Taiwan as well as Thailand. Sony's going to Thailand. But it's just, you know, what do you think about this? I mean, the economy in China as it is kind of abysmal, but I think it's going to get worse. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, world events, there's a lot going on everywhere, every part of the world. I mean, whether it be economic, whether it be, some type of war going on or something. And based on, China's performance over the last several years with their shutdowns and everything, I mean, so much is made in China. All of the electronic chips, I mean, everything is made in China. And with them not being able to deliver because of these massive shutdowns and stuff, I mean, that really paralyzes production for the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you had even talked about in your video about the car manufacturers not being able to get chips. I mean, there were tens of thousands. I think I heard 40,000 Ford trucks sitting on a lot in in the US here waiting to be delivered because they're waiting on chips. I mean, this was a while ago, but
Yeah.
this is a problem, and from a business standpoint, these companies need to move their production where they're going to be able to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't have supply, they can't sell product. And if you can't sell product, your shareholders will get pissed because you're not making money. That's it. Let me just say hello, everyone, in the chat here. We have Anthony. What's going on? Peter, Unbroken, Josh. Let me see. Crazy 3D Immortal. How are you doing? Richard, Mark. Let's see. Sash. Who else is in here? Katana, like that. Mark. We'll get into all of your questions. Keep on putting them in there. Just wanted to say hello to everyone that was sitting in here in the chat. I was looking at this whole story, and the way I looked at it, I'm like, they were making cameras in China or selling cameras into China, like 150,000 units, where they were selling like over 2 million worldwide. So it was a very small percentage, like 7% of the cameras. So what Sony decided to do is said, you know what? We are not going to build any cameras in China besides the cameras that are going to be sold in China. I thought that was awesome. I wish the United States would do the same thing. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to sell into the United States. Why don't we just build it in the United States and sell it here? If we're going to sell something, let's say, in the UK or maybe in the EU, let's not just say the UK, but maybe in the entire EU, well, let's build it in France or in the UK or in Germany or Switzerland or France or wherever, and sell it over there. I think that's great because now you're employing the people that they're building it and then you're selling it to that specific location. In comparison to what we do now, we're building, cars in Mexico and we're building them everywhere else besides here in the US and then bringing them in here to be sold. Why? Because they can do it cheaply. And that's the same reason why Apple does it. And they're basically, these companies are getting what we would categorize as slave labor, right? These people are like indentured servants. They literally work for months on end in these factories. And I mean, to such a degree, I did a report on where the companies would put a netting around the rooftop of the buildings because the workers were jumping to their death. So now if they jump, they're just stuck in the netting and then they peel them back out and send them back to work. I mean, it's just, it's like here we would just think that that's bizarre. It's not bizarre. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. It is definitely crazy. And like you were saying, you were talking about with the car, situation, and I talked about that in my piece. The car situation is absolutely ridiculous. And these car manufacturers, they're not able to make the cars. It's fine. But the dealers now were buying in all of these used cars at just double the cost of what they should be at these highly inflated prices. So now they have lots of these used cars that cost them double what they should. They can't sell them for double anymore. So now they're like taking a bath on them. But then when the cars are available due to the chips becoming available, they can't even bring the stuff in anyways because they have either no room for them or they have no capital to buy them or actually lease them to bring them into the dealership. So it's like a catch-22. These dealerships are screwed. I mean, they are screwed.
Yeah. The used car market is just ridiculous right now. I mean, my daughter turned 17 this past August, and we were on I know, right? We were on a hunt for a car, and we were looking for things, and either for a couple $1,000s, you're finding a total piece of crap, like a rust bucket or just something that's not even going to run. I mean, in reality, with the market, you're looking from $7,000 to $10,000 to get a semi decent car for a 17-year-old kid.
Right.
I mean, my first car was $1,000. I mean, that was many moons ago, but
Yeah.
regardless, I mean, it was not that expensive. And but it's supply and demand. I mean, the new car market is increasing. It's getting better. The new cars are starting to hit lots. Again, not at the volume and at the speed it used to. So the
Right.
used car market is still dominant. And it is just so expensive. Not only that, so the car we wound up getting my daughter was a 1999 Volkswagen Beetle. We got it really cheap.
Nice.
We threw some money into it. Yeah. We threw some money into it, and it was a good vehicle. And then we had like an electronic issue, and we're trying to find a part for it. Can't find the part. I mean, it's an old car, so I get that. But there's also the ability to produce these parts because these parts have chips in them.
Absolutely.
So we're back to that. So now they're taking the older vehicles with these parts that really are not necessary, on a daily basis, and they're, Xing them out and in favor of newer parts. So, I mean, everything has become so much more difficult now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 110%. I mean, it's been like this for a while, for way too long. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Let me go through the comments. Unbroken says, question, any luck on getting into the Sony Space Cam? Now, that's something new that came out. I think there was a piece on F-Stoppers or somewhere. I'll have to look that up. I think right around the 13th or so. And basically what it is, I guess, they call it, the Star Sphere. Let me see if I can bring that up. And what that is they have, I guess they launched a little nano satellite into orbit where users can, or it's user controllable to take photographs from Earth, from space or whatever. I think that's pretty amazing. I think that's pretty cool. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff like that moving forward. I believe that we're going to see a lot more of this satellite stuff like Elon Musk is doing, where he's sending out 50 satellites it seems like every few days. Like in a week, sometimes he'll send up 100 new Starlink satellites, which is just bizarre because he's got this thing on lockdown. He just, the main part of the rocket itself is literally coming back to Earth and then landing on a drone ship, and then ferried back to the mainland, spruced up a little bit and used again. Some of these rockets have been used, I think, 8+ times already. So it's like up and down and up and down, where it used to be they would just drop into the ocean, they'd be contaminated with salt water, and maybe you would rescue one or two, but you wouldn't use it again because now it's pretty much, spoiled, let's say. Whereas these things, they never touch salt water, besides maybe some mist. So it's really amazing what he's doing. And now we're seeing that he's getting finally some of the smaller versions of his second generation satellites up there in orbit. His first generation, his 1.0s, they were okay. But as soon as he hit 1.5 and now the 2.0s, they have built in lasers. So they do laser communication from satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite. So if you think about it, you don't have to constantly go back to the ground, to these ground stations or these POPs or point of presence anymore. You can literally just move data at the speed of light through lasers all around the planet. And I mean, people don't understand how big this is. I mean, I've been in tech since I was a kid. I mean, I was writing EEPROMs in assembly code for Apple back in like 84, 85, somewhere around there. So, I've been very heavily into tech forever, right? So when I see this, I mean, people don't know how big this is. This is so massive. He could technically create a secondary internet that is non-terrestrial, that never hits the ground until a request is sent out. Let's say if you put in a request for Google and you are in, let's say, Florida, and you put in a request for Google, it goes up to the satellite and then bounces to all of the different satellites till it gets to the fastest downstream location. It doesn't matter where it is anymore, right? It could be in New Jersey, it could be in California. It doesn't have to be close to me at this point, because once again, the data is going at the speed of light. Bounce it down, get the data, and then bounce it back to me. And it's just amazing on, how. So the way I'm looking at this, the way this is going to be, is instead of having all these NOCs or network operation centers on the ground, we're going to see massive satellites. So you'll have the small satellites, and then you'll have the big ones that will be like NOCs, like network operation centers, or COs, like a central office type of thing, where it would be doing all of that informational, transactional type of stuff. So, obviously this isn't something that's talked about. I'm just, predicting on what's going to happen because I can kind of see it. But, I'm going to keep reporting on it for who knows how long, and we'll see if it actually comes to pass. But I'm really excited of what's going on, and I'm glad that we're finally seeing those version 2s out there. One of the things that I want to talk about tonight is the piece that I did today. That thing blew up. I don't know. I launched it about 2-3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, I don't know. And it's got like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 views and a ton of comments, a ton of questions and comments in there. And it had to do with the brand new dish that they're coming out with. So I'll get into that in just a minute. But before we get into that, I want to kind of go through some of these questions. If you see some questions, Trevor, jump in and, ask them out loud. And then, we'll kind of talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see what we have here. We have actually some people using Starlink. We have Anthony who's watching with Starlink. That's kind of interesting. Watching from the southwest of Florida and Hurricane Ian. So was tough with Starlink, got me through it. Yes, so that was one of the things that I thought was amazing is, if you have fiber, if you have cable, if you have anything that is terrestrial based, a satellite-based type of system after a hurricane, as long as you can find power, as long as you have power, it could be through solar power, battery backup power, it could be generator power, whatever, you immediately have internet. You have connectivity. Yeah. And that's why, we're seeing these people that are sitting in, the woods in the, all over the world that are actually getting internet service what never had service before. You have the people in the Ukraine that are actually, using now Starlink to kind of stay in touch because Russia blew up all of the infrastructure already, So it's like, it's amazing what has been transpiring in such a short period of time with this just odd type of ISP, internet service provider that just came out of nowhere, right? I've been using it since beta, but a lot of people see it as something that just came out of nowhere, and you see it just talked about continuously. It's almost like that chat GPZ thing. That thing is just, everyone is talking about that.
Everybody's talking about it. I'm getting tired of hearing about it.
It's cool, and there's a lot of stuff you can do about it, but it's crazy. Let me see. Richard says, best security camera hookup to use for Starlink to be able to monitor when not home. So the thing here, Richard, is that you can't do it unless you have a means to have a static IP address. Starlink uses, like a lot of ISPs, what is called CGNAT. It's carrier grade network address translation, whatever, yada, yada. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is just think of it this way. Instead of you having an IP address, like 1.1.1.1, right? That's my IP address. Instead of having that, right, you have this random IP address that is given to you by your ISP, let's say by Starlink. So you have this IP address, but the problem is it's not yours. It's yours and about 100 other people. So what happens is, instead of you having a static IP address, which now you can use to watch your data or to log in through externally and watch those cameras, you don't have that. So the IP address that you have is the same as like 100 or 1,000 other people. And through this network translation, through the CGNAT, they now put like a bit tag, let's say, on the data. And so the same, 1,000 people have the exact same IP address, but when the ISP, which is Starlink, gets the data, it says, oh, this needs a route this way, this needs a route that way. So it's basically using Starlink as a post office, right? So think of you as being just one of the people inside of a building. And you have a 12-story building and you have everyone with the exact same address because that is the address of the building. But each building has different floors and different room numbers, right? Apartment numbers. Well, you have your mailroom downstairs that goes and sticks the information or sticks the mail to wherever it goes. Well, that's the exact same thing that happens. So what you need to do to be able to monitor those cameras is you need a static IP address and you need to be able to do port forwarding. And that's why I've been talking so much about using the PureVPN. The people that gave me basically a link that you guys can get like 80% off. Maybe I'll put a link. As a matter of fact, I think if you go to JCristina.com/VPN, once again, JCristina.com/VPN, it will immediately take you over to that link. Trevor, if you could do me a favor, type that into the chat window, jcristina.com/VPN. Anyways, so if you use that, they give you a static IP address and then they also allow you to do port forwarding through them. And at that point now, you can monitor those cameras. I know this was a long story to answer your question, but I hope it gives a little bit more information as to why, not just, what's going on behind the scenes, not just the how, but the why behind it. And as I always say, this channel is all about the why. I don't want to just tell you what to do because that means nothing. You don't understand why, right? So anyways, that's that. Once again, sorry for that long-winded explanation. Love the content. I appreciate that, Mark. Learned a lot. Let's see. We have new to your channel, eager to learn more. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Streaming on Starlink from North California. Does this have anything to do with America not selling semiconductors to China? I think a lot of it has to do with the U.S. basically being in a trade war with China. And I think a lot of the EU is following suit. And that's one portion of it. But another portion of it is that China has been shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to the V, right? We can't talk about it, right? It's illegal. If you talk about the virus, you're basically banned forever. So we're not going to talk about that. But the V, what they have done is they have shut down facilities for weeks on end, sometimes close to a month, right? Because they have this zero V policy. Okay, you get what I'm saying. That has just crippled their economy, crippled. And, that's the way it goes. So what's happening is people are saying, you know what, we can't get the product from you. We're going to have to go elsewhere to another country that is willing to work. You guys don't want to work. That's fine. Now you just took another vacation for the 2-3 weeks or whatever. It is what it is. So yeah, there's a lot, that's just like skimming the surface. There's a hell of a lot.
There's a lot of politics in there too.
Absolutely.
That's going on. Power struggles and this, that, and the other thing, human rights and all this stuff. So it's, there's a lot to it. And I think this is an opportunity at this point for these companies to say, yeah, maybe we'll cut ties for now. Maybe we'll come back.
And rightfully so. I mean, in my personal opinion, I really think that they should. Because if you can't get the product, then what are you going to sell? And like I said at the beginning of this, your shareholders are going to simply get pissed off. I mean, if you're not selling product, you're not making money, and then at the end of the quarter, your bottom line is crap, and your shareholders are like, well, what the hell are you doing? We were making 50 cents. Now we're making negative $3. I mean, what's going on? So yeah, they can only do this for so long, and that's what's going on. A lot of the companies are just picking up and leaving. And, when companies leave, it's very hard to get back. What Sony did different is number one, what they build in China, they're selling in China. I think that's great. But what they're also doing is the facilities, Trevor. The facilities are being unmanned, but they're not closing them down just in case they have a problem with Thailand or just in wherever the hell else they're getting their stuff from. So I think that's smart. I think it's a good way to do it. And a lot of these companies, they haven't had a plan B. They haven't, it's like putting all of your eggs in one basket and then all of a sudden, now what? When that basket is, either cracked or gone or dumped over, now what, you have nothing. You can't do that. Diversification is godliness. If you don't diversify, that's your income. Diversify everything. You're going to fail. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Let me see. Are you going through some of those comments? I'm going to go through them. I'm going to start over here from Mark. Says, I've seen them in Kentucky just 2 weeks ago. 8 second batch. Yeah. Unbroken. Let's see the last camera conspiracy. I have not seen his stuff recently. I've been so busy. I was on that cruise. I was in Haiti, Jamaica, Bahamas, and I don't know, somewhere else for like a week, and I was reporting back and forth, and some of the videos you can see. I'm going to do one more video, and I'm going to talk about that cruise and kind of do a rating on it. I think it's appropriate. I think it's good, and I think it'll help out some people that want to take these cruises, because sometimes they're not exactly what they're all, I don't know, said to be. And this one I really want to dig into a little bit and give you my perspective on it. So we'll do that in another video. But yeah, that will be coming. But no, I have not seen any of his stuff as of late. Let's see. Thank you. Okay. Appreciate you being here. Crazy 3D Immortal. John says, enjoyed watching you and Trevor. North Wisconsin. Nice. I bet you it's nice and warm over there, right? Man, I'm sitting here at like 80 degrees, 75 degrees or something, Wisconsin. I don't even want to look to see what that weather is at like.
Our temp is dropping up here, but it's going to warm up again as we get.
You're in Jersey. What's the temperature over there?
Yeah, right now it was like 30 degrees today, but it's supposed to get cooler into Saturday, and it's supposed to be like 0 with wind chill. It's going to be really, really cold. But then Sunday, the warm front's coming in, and by Monday, we're going to be up in the 40s again. It's no wonder everybody's getting sick. It's ridiculous. We go with like 20, 30 degree temperature swings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Appreciate that, Scott from South Carolina, asking everyone to give a thumbs up to help out the channel and the algorithm. I appreciate you for that. Yeah, that would be awesome. Helps. Anyone gives a thumbs up, that would be fabulous. I would love it. Also, just so you guys know, we are going live here with Trevor, myself, through Starlink. Okay, so if there's hiccups or whatever, let me know. If there's any kind of downtime, things go south, just let me know. It's okay. These are the tests that go on. We are not, going live through a landline. It's obviously a lot easier. Josh says, let me see, cobalt mine in Chile. Yeah, I didn't want to go into the cobalt mines, that's for sure. Dan says, loved Starlink and it changed my life. Yeah, Dan, a lot of people have had their lives changed due to Starlink because they've had no internet service or good internet service for the majority of time at the location that they're at due to let's say the digital divide, the great digital divide that we've seen for quite some time of the haves and have-nots. There's been a lot of have-nots from fiber or any kind of fat cable, as I call it, fat copper, like Comcast and all the rest of the cable companies. There's just not in certain. If you want to live in a rural area, you're basically screwed. And that's just it. And they have been getting tons of money. The government has been just throwing tons of money to a lot of different ISPs out there, a lot of providers, and they say, yes, so we're going to give fiber to here, we're going to do this, we're going to expand our network, and they have done absolute crap for well over a decade. It's all BS. They just keep taking the money and do nothing for it.
We have a company up here. Right now I'm on cable. Cable. I'm on copper. So I've got a really good landline connection to the internet. And we have a local company who's running fiber. They're building out our county's infrastructure, and they're literally digging ditches and running fiber. And these guys are crushing it. man, people can't wait to jump ship from these cable companies and DSL and stuff like that. I mean, I mean, the DSL up here is abysmal.
Right.
The cable is not bad. Like, I really can't complain. I've had my issues over the years here and there with connectivity with noise basically in the line, and that's mainly because the connectors to the boxes and stuff like that corrode, and they just have to replace them. But so many people up by me are complaining about the cable internet provider,
Right.
and they can't wait. I tell you, when this fiber company gets everything laid out in the area, man, they are going to be the dominant force. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Fiber is a major thing, and I've said it before. I mean, if you can get fiber, forget about Starlink. Okay, use it as a
Yeah.
backup. I think everyone should have a backup, no matter what. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be Starlink. It could be a 4G, 5G signal, LTE. It doesn't matter what it is. Fact, copper, cable, whatever the case might be. Uverse, which I have, which is complete crap. AT&T
Yep.
Uverse is junk. But anyways, I don't want to get into that. Let me see. Richard says Elon has hurt the used Tesla market, basically going down on the new ones for $13,000. Yes, that is a major problem. Whenever you see a price reduction of new, then used also takes a hit for sure. Just waiting for the Cybertruck. Can't wait. I don't think the Cybertruck's going to happen. I wish it would, but we'll see what ends up going on with that. They've been talking about Cybertrucks for quite some time. A friend of mine down here in South Florida had, I believe, a down payment or whatever for a Cybertruck, and I think that was returned to him. So that doesn't forebode well, but I mean, I don't know. Does it bode well? It probably bodes not well. So I don't know what's going to end up happening with that. But he ended up getting a brand new Tesla car. Let's see. Dan says Tesla shareholders couldn't be happier. Well, yeah, money is money. Shareholders are the ones that command everything. Let me see. Peter says, have you thought about making a video about NAS, two network, NAS network? Yeah. So combining the networks without a NAS. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone should have a NAS. If you are a content creator, if you're a photographer, a videographer, I mean, just about anything today, people need a NAS, some type of backup, let's call it. Doesn't even have to be a full NAS, but some type of backup. I wrote a book over here, as you can see, how to create a digital Fort Knox, backing up your digital life. That book was written when I built my NAS, which is an Unraid server. A lot of people build RAID arrays, a RAID server. I built an Unraid server. It's a different piece of software. I like it better. There's down points and there's positives, but there's more positives to me for that type of machine. And I built it out of 10, 12-year-old parts that were inside of a garage in Florida with humidity off the chart. And it's been running now for about a year and 2 or 3 months, somewhere around there, flawlessly. Now, so yeah, I mean, I love networking in general, but if I might do a video or a series on that, and I might also do a series on mesh networks, because a lot of people are finding that their network is, let's say, not as strong as they want it to be across the entire house. And they don't know how to do it properly, and they do all this kind of backwards ass shit where they'll have multiple APs, multiple access points, and they'll put in the exact SSID, in other words, the name, all right? The name of it, and then they'll put in the same password, so then when they move, they can log in. It doesn't work like that. I mean, yes, you can do that, but what happens is you have to stop the connection and start the connection. It doesn't do a handoff, let's say. If you have a true
That's
mesh
the way
network,
I had it set up.
Exactly. A lot of people do that because they don't know any better.
It's not good.
Right. So I might do a whole course just on network, on mesh systems, because, to do them right, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot to think about. But once it's done right, I mean, literally in my location, I could literally be in the house, any point of the house, and then walk to the back of my 5 acres and still have high quality internet. So, and that's just because of how I have it set up, right? Anyways, yeah, I might do something with that. Let's say
Yeah,
Cobalt.
I've got to get something done here. We have two access points. Like here in my office, everything is hardwired. I have an access point in here just basically for the phone and the printer.
Right,
Um, but it just like you said, going between the two units, it just does not work smoothly. I
right,
was having problems like when the kids were home from school, doing schoolwork on their computers during the C shutdown there. I had to break them out and put one on each router just to make it work properly because they
right.
were battling for signal strength and stuff. It was just,
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
that's what
and
I
then
need
you
to do is rip all this out and replace it
absolutely.
because it's
You know,
just not working.
we can go over some of that, Trevor, and I'll tell you exactly what would work for you. And it goes
Yeah.
by per square feet and how thick your walls are. Are your walls, do your walls have wood studs? Are the walls metal studs? What kind of siding? There's a lot that goes into it, but once you get it down, I'm telling you, everything just is perfect. You have perfect signal everywhere. You don't have to worry about it. Josh says, why not use a large fairing on the Falcon Heavy to launch the Generation 2s? So what they're doing right now is they have a smaller version of Generation 2 satellites, and those are being stuck into the upper fairing of the Falcon 9 rockets, right, in a different angle, and they could only put a small number of them up there. Now that they are starting to launch the Heavy, right, they're going to be able to do a lot more and be able to get now 50 plus of the actual second gens. Whereas those second gens, they were smaller in size. So it's my understanding that some of the first second gens that are up there right now are not the full size ones that they want to have up there. Now, don't quote me on this. This is what I'm understanding, but I want to research this a little bit more too to find out when the actual full size Gen 2s are going to be put in orbit if they're not already there. I think it's very, very, very important. Let me see. Yeah, Richard said sent up 50 yesterday. They did 50 satellites. It's just crazy. To me, it's crazy. Jason says 14 to 15 at this point. There you go. Let's see. Curlin. Katana says, I grew up watching Mercury Project. SpaceX is super. I mean, yeah. So, yeah, me too. I love, I love astronomy, I love space, I love tech. So this is kind of combines everything. Seeing that Sony has launched in a mini tiny satellite, what was it, like an A74 or something, I don't know. And it's fully usable, controllable, and you can take photos from it. It's just cool stuff. I like it. I love it. Let's see. Dan says we get up to 300 megabits in upstate New York. I've noted a huge increase in speeds in the past 6 months. That's amazing. Okay, 300 megabits, that's what we were getting. When I first started this, just coming out of beta, I was getting like 310 down and around 40 to 50 up. Now I'm getting about 150 to 200 down and 10 to 15 up. It's a major decline in speed, and that is due to congestion. So they had to throttle it. I remember when I said that I don't care what Elon says, they're going to have to throttle this shit, okay? And people lost their mind, okay? They were like, you're an idiot, you're completely wrong. He says it's unlimited. I'm like, no, there's going to be throttling,
Yeah.
and there's going to be a data cap. And
Yeah.
it just, people were pissed about it, but that's what ended up happening. And you don't have a choice. I mean, if you have 10 eggs and you have 20 people and everyone wants an egg, now what are you going to do? There's a limited amount of bandwidth. There's a limited amount of resource. So what can you do? That's just it.
All ISPs throttle. I mean, it's a
Absolutely.
known fact. I mean, during peak hours, ISPs will actually dial back your connection, so that way, you're like, oh, and they could just blame it on network congestion, right? But really, what they're doing is they're dialing it back because they want you to upgrade your service to a faster service. I
Right,
mean,
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, it's
No,
just the way it
absolutely,
is.
absolutely. Crazy Immortal says, "What do you think? What are your thoughts about Elon buying Twitter? Do you think it will be the link or a gateway from Mars to Earth communication with Starlink version 2?" I think it has nothing to do with that. I think Elon is a brilliant chess player that thinks 5 moves ahead, and it was just simply a decision made on the basis of 5 moves ahead. Not what you see today, where there's all kinds of strife and there's problems with this and problems with that. No, it's not that. You know, people pissed him off, and he decided to do something about it. But even though he did something about it, he did it in a way that he could afford to do. You know, like when you go and, you know, if you're going to a casino, right? If you're a smart person, right, you're going to put aside a certain amount of money that you're willing to lose. And then if you play, let's say it's $500, and you play and you make $1,000, the smart person will take the $500 they originally wanted to lose or were willing to lose, stick that in their back pocket, and now play with the house's money. Right? Well, that's the same thing that like he does. So right now he's trying to figure out how is he going to make money with this piece of crap, because Twitter was an amazing platform for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, we cut our teeth on it. I had like 20,000+ people that used to follow me on there, or 22, 23. Same with you, Trevor. And it was an amazing matter of fact, I met Trevor on Twitter. Isn't that correct? I think we did.
Yeah, we connected on Twitter,
right?
And we also connected with a mutual friend in the photo space,
right?
And then through that connection, you and I got to talk,
right?
About stuff.
And then so what ended up happening was Twitter turned into a piece of crap. Okay, and the reason being is they didn't police it properly, and it became, instead of a mutual bi-directional conversation, it became a broadcast device where there was so much just spewing just vile vitriol on this freaking platform that you just, you know, you have to tune out. There's no way to just consume it. This is just pouring in. And the thing is all of that stuff that was pouring in, we're now finding out a lot of it was AI. It was a lot of robots that were set up to do this. So it wasn't people doing it. So, I mean, anyways, I can go in I could do an entire video on the whole Twitter thing, because, you know, we were there from the very beginning with Twitter, and seeing its demise, basically, it was just a sad, sad thing on how it was taken over by these people and turned into a big ball of crap. So let's see. Gordon says, data caps. I really like SpaceX to allow us to bank our unused data each month. Maybe cap. Yeah. So a lot of the phone companies used to do that, right? Didn't they do that, Gordon? They used to have, like, you had a cap, and if you didn't use it, you would bank it, and then you can use it the next month. Pretty cool. I mean, I like that. But remember, you do have unlimited access through them anyways. It does throttle you back. But I did an analysis on this throttling nonsense, and the throttling, after, you know, checking it out and figuring out what it's all going to be from, you know, your priority data to your basic data, it was going to be like a 50% reduction. And I mean, most people that are using SpaceX Starlink, they're in a rural environment, and they're using, like me, like an AT&T Uverse, getting 15 megs down and 1.5 megs up. So I don't care how many times they cut SpaceX Starlink in half, it's never going to equal the crap that AT&T is providing, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's always like the, you know, when you look at something, your perspective, you know, are you looking at it from up here? Are you looking at it from down here? You know, that's the way I look at it. Anyways, Josh
I tell you what, we just changed our cell service around Christmas time, and I upgraded from an iPhone 7 to
wow.
an iPhone 14. So it's been, you know, what, 7+ years, I guess, with the same phone. But with that phone came a change in service, and it came, you know, a change in the phone itself having 5G. Right. And man, I got to tell you, even with 2 bars of 5G, like down in town, I'm getting like 150 down and like 150 up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty sweet.
that's absolutely amazing. I mean, it is.
Yeah,
It
it's really,
is.
really good.
Josh says, when I was in open beta, so congratulations, Josh, you were in one of the beta guys, using the system. He said, before that one got fried, I had good speeds, but it's been struggling for a while now, slowly getting better though. Yes. So the speeds were really, really fast, went to complete crap, and now they're slowly coming back up because they're getting a handle on what's going on. So yeah, I mean, I see that. I see that myself. I think everyone is seeing it. Dan says technically, the light from a laser in a vacuum moves faster than fiber. In time, it could be faster than fiber, but that's going to take a while for it to happen. Basically, yes, that's true. So laser communication in a vacuum, hence in LEO or low Earth orbit, yes, is fast as hell. So you can take data and wrap it around the entire planet in milliseconds, not seconds, in milliseconds, which is unbelievable. It's absolutely amazing. And now, once we see, right now we have 3,000 or 3,500 of these satellites up there. Once we see those generation 2s up there, and there's hundreds and thousands of those, I think the final number was going to be about 42 or 43,000 satellites is what they want. At that point, it's just going to be bouncing all over the place. The data, like I said, he could create a secondary internet, a non-terrestrial internet in outer space, in LEO.
Yeah.
Just watch. Just trust me when I say that. It sounds bizarre, but it could happen. It could happen.
I mean, in theory, this all sounds like amazing.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like Star Wars, Star Trek or something.
Yeah, yeah. And I think they can get there. And, I mean, it's a good option. I actually have a friend from high school. He's become like a digital nomad. And if I were a few years younger with no kids, man, I would want to be him. This dude, he's single. I mean, he's not a kid. He's older, but he's single. He's got a jacked up Gladiator, and
Wow.
he is traveling all around, pulling a big trailer on the back, a big camper trailer, and he's living the digital life, man. He's like an IT guy.
That's
he
crazy.
goes from one
That's
place
awesome.
to another.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely
it's
awesome.
Like I'm watching his 4-wheel trips, like up through the mountains. He was in Colorado, and now he's down in Arizona. He was out in Utah. I mean, wheeling in these amazing places, Yeah. But again, Starlink, I think, is what he's using when he gets into some of the campgrounds and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let me see. Scott from South Carolina says, which way does the dish point? Mine is pointing basically northeast, and he's in Florence, South Carolina. So the way it works, Scott, is this. I came up with a theory. I posted in a video, weeks back. And what I came up with, so to go back a little bit, I came out to the studio and I looked up at the roof where the Starlink is, like I always do, make sure it's not missing, right? I'd be crying like a little girl. Anyway, so I see the Starlink and I'm like, holy crap, it's broken. Because, it's supposed to be oriented to the north or magnetic north, right around there, off a couple of degrees, about 20 some degrees or so, and then straight north. And I looked at it, I'm like, holy crap, this thing is pointing like east, northeast. Not even northeast, but east, northeast. And I'm like, this is just... So I went in and I took a look at everything was how the settings were, what was going on. It did reboot. And now all of a sudden it's pointing in this weird direction. And I'm testing everything and the speeds are as good, if not better. So I was speculating. I'm like, that's very interesting. This thing is now pointing instead of over land. It's pointing, because I'm on the coast. It's pointing over the damn ocean. So in the video, I was speculating, well, how about if they, being SpaceX, will have all of the people that are near the coast point their dish towards the ocean. So all of those satellites that are flying over the ocean that are not being used almost at all, besides by a few ships, maybe a couple of airlines, right? They're basically not being used at all. Why don't all the people on the coast use them? So I wrote to a couple of people that are on the other coast, on the West Coast, and I said, has your dish changed orientation? And instead of pointing north, it's now pointing west northwest. And they're like, and literally I started getting comment after comment after comment. Holy crap, mine's pointing exactly like you said to the west. That makes sense, right? Because now they're doing the exact same thing as they're doing here on the East Coast, on the West Coast. They're having all of the people on the West Coast point their dish over the ocean and use those satellites instead of using the ones over land that other people on land or more internal to the country can use, right? So it just simply made sense. And that's to this day, I'm not 100% sure that that's the reason, but I just can't figure out any other way why they would do it. But that is exactly why now, I think. All of the dishes on the people that are on the coast are pointing in the directions they are and not magnetic north or close to north like they used to. Let's see.
Question for you about the dishes though. With them being up high on a roof, or maybe some people even have them on a tower or a pole or something like that, are they susceptible to high winds? Like, do the motors lock them in place so they don't move? Do they have some type of, or can they actually be blown and twisted and stuff? Or does it matter? I mean, if they move, they center themselves back up.
Yeah, so if they move, they will center themselves, but they do lock into place. It is locked in. If you have a residential service like myself, that dish does not move. It is locked into where it is, and that is it. The only time it moves is when it's in like a recalibration mode. So if you were to take the router and unplug it and plug it back in 3 times consecutively, it will factory reset. And at that point, it will now reestablish itself and find where it needs to be pointing, let's say. Now, talking about high winds, I went through the hurricane here, as you know, we're in Hurricane Alley basically in Florida. And we didn't get hit with a ton of winds, but we had a tornado rip through. And we had some sustained winds of about 60, 65 miles per hour. Nothing that fast. It wasn't like 120, 140 like sometimes we get with the big hurricanes. That dish did not move a centimeter.
Wow, that's great.
I mean, I don't know. It had absolutely zero problem with those high winds. I mean, zero. Now, of course, it has to do with you mounting it properly, too. If you do a half-assed job mounting it, you might have the thing ripped off because of that. But the actual dish itself, the way it locks in and all the... I mean, it's right. It's definitely done right.
Yeah, that's good.
No problem at all. Let's see. What do we have here? Josh says, makes sense. The pops worked. Yeah. Mine's basically... let's see. They say mine points basically north. Yes, that's what most people's will. Anyone inland, they will point north. Entire region could go out, and if you have Starlink, you're good. That is 100% the case because you're not relying on anything on the ground, right? And the thing is, what people forget is that since you are connecting through a satellite, my ground station is in Punta Gorda, which is basically on the west coast of Florida. That's fine. If it went down, it wouldn't matter because they would reroute it to Miami, or they would use a ground station up on the East Coast or wherever. And now that we're going to see a lot of these satellites that have the satellite lasers on them, it don't matter even the least. I could be in Florida and literally using something in New Jersey where you are up there, 3,000 miles plus away, and it would be milliseconds. I might have a latency of an extra 10 milliseconds. It really wouldn't even make a difference. So yeah, you can have an entire region go dark and you will still have coverage. And that's why you see people in the Ukraine and, all over the world in these rural areas using the thing. As long as you can get power, you have internet. Done. I mean, it's
great.
it's pretty amazing compared to like HughesNet or Viasat or all the rest of these just geocentric, geolocated, where they're just constantly wrapping in one spot way up there at tens of thousands of kilometers instead of at 550 kilometers in low Earth orbit. So what was happening with all those, you're paying a lot of money for like HughesNet, for example. You would get crap service, everything was slow, the latency was off the freaking chart, and then you had data caps like no one's business. And as soon as Starlink came out, I mean, you might as well just shut down HughesNet and Viasat and all the rest of these people. Just shut them down, right?
Yeah,
Because there's no reason to use them. Absolutely none. Let's see, what do we got here?
Just a quick thing here.
Yeah.
I'm down at the bottom of the comments. I know you're still up higher, but Richard had commented that his Starlink is on a 20-foot tower.
Uh-huh.
And I saw that and I just kind of laughed a little bit. I remember when I was a kid, my dad was huge into CB radios.
Oh yeah.
And how far away could he talk? So he had this freaking tower. It was probably a 20-foot tower on the roof of the garage. And it's like a tripod thing, right? So, and then on top of that, he probably had another 20 feet of pole and this big
Wow.
this big ass antenna on the top called a Moonraker 4.
Right.
It was directional. And man, he had a rotor on it, and he had a box that sitting next to his radio, and he could hit the box and the thing would
Oh my God. Wow.
He would key up that microphone and destroy the neighbor's television, man. It was so funny. It was like you stand in front of that man and you can fry a chicken. That
my
was
God.
ridiculous.
My God.
So years later, he took that down and he put up like a 40-foot tower. Ain't no lie. He cemented this thing in the ground. He had it hinged and everything. Big pipe on that. I swear, I don't even know how a plane didn't hit this damn thing.
You know,
but
so
it
a lot
was
of people,
so far up there.
A lot of people will put the dish on a long pole of 20 foot, 30 foot, you know, whatever, so that they can get over the tree line or to get out of way of like a building or something. So yeah, and you know, of course, once you do that, it is susceptible to lightning strikes or a little bit more. So you need to ground it. There's a lot more things that you have to do. You're going to get excess wind up there too. You want to make sure that you cement your pole down. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you need to, you know, be aware of, and not like, you know, you don't want to screw things up and end up with your crap launched somewhere. Let me see. Unbroken says, Chat GPT stole my wife. Yeah, it stole a lot of people's wives, I think. I don't know. A lot of people are using that Chat GPT to do everything today. I get so many people just like, oh, you know, we'll write articles for you using AI, and we'll do this and we'll do that. It's like, oh my God, just stop already. You know, just stop. You know, that will eventually be something that is unbelievably amazing. My understanding is, I think that, and you guys in the chat, let me know if I'm wrong, I think that they pit the Chat GPT against attorneys on like 2 different cases, and I think they won. And I think they also had them take like a boards as well, like a doctor's board, you know, and they passed. So ChatGPT would be a doctor, and a couple of other things. And the reason being, I mean, it has all the knowledge, right? Just think about it. I mean, yeah, it's AI, but if you have all of the answers, then you're going to answer everything properly, you know? So yeah, just once these AI are now no longer with a barrier, so that they only have data up to a certain level. I think they have like data to 2021, I think right now. Once they are plugged into the internet, live, current, I think it's game over. I mean, at that point, I mean, you're close to sentient. I mean, any information that you want, anything that you want to ask it, it's going to have the answer, but real time. It's not going to be a year-old information, you know? It's real time, like what's going on this second. So, yeah, I mean, it's
going to be Skynet, man.
Yeah, it's Skynet. It absolutely is, and that's no joke. Yeah, absolutely.
I got to tell you, one of my clients is an organization for news media professionals. Okay. So they do advocacy down in Washington and stuff like that, and like all this great stuff for them. One of the big concerns about Chat GPT right now is the continual spread of misinformation.
Right.
So it's gathering its data from its data source, right? So if there's a story out there that is completely false, it doesn't know whether it's false or not. I mean, it's not. I mean, in theory, it can pull from multiple sources, right? It could vet itself and its data, but it's not doing that.
Yeah.
It's finding the information. It's saying, oh, this story, blah, blah, blah.
So
And
what?
then it will keep reproducing this misinformation over and over and over again.
So I did a test with it. And I said, who is the inventor? Who is the creator of the focus pyramid autofocus lens calibration tool? Which is me. And then I asked it, what is the purpose of the focus pyramid? And this is something. If you guys don't know, this is something that I designed about 12 years ago to calibrate DSLR cameras to their lenses. And, it's sold on B&H Photo and Video. It's sold on Amazon, all over the place. I sell it on my website, JCristina.com. But anyways, I asked it, and it came up with a really damn perfect answer. But one of the things that it said was off. They had it twisted, like the way it's done. I said, correction, this is not this way, it is this way. And it actually learned what I said, and I was able to correct it. And when I asked it again, it made the correction. So, is that good or is that bad? Who in the hell am I to tell it to change its information? That to me can be problematic because anyone could do that. What I did. Now, is that somehow vetted? Does it understand who I am somehow? Who the hell knows? I mean, at this point, listen, guys, listen to this. We were talking about, so we just went on this cruise, right, for a week. And my wife and I were talking about doing a river cruise, right? Talking about river cruises, about blah, 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 something about river cruises. Literally, I started getting advertisement on Google for river cruises. I got in the mail, I never got this in my entire life, in the mail, I got a brochure for a damn river cruise through the Nile. How is it even a thing? I should have brought it out here just to show you guys. I'm like, what the frick?
These phones are listening, man. They're listening to everything.
This is complete BS. This right here is a tether around your neck, and they can follow you. They listen to you every single word. If I say that I want a red BMW, it's listening. By tomorrow, I will not have a red BMW ad, but I will have a BMW ad, if not a whole bunch of car commercials.
Yep.
And it's not even on, right? It doesn't matter.
It's crazy.
It does not
I've
matter.
talked about things just like with my wife, and then like the next day scrolling through my Facebook feed, I see Amazon ads for this thing. So they're pulling all this data and stuff. I mean, they're cracking down on some of this stuff, but they're never going to be able to keep up. The money is the data. I mean, we are the product, and they're going to do everything they can to continually sell our data and make money off it.
Absolutely. If you're not paying for something, if you're not paying for a service, you are the service. You are what is being sold. And that's just it. Either your data or somehow your ass is being sold because you're not paying for whatever that service. And even sometimes when you pay for the service, you're still being sold. Let me see. Clinton Emerson says, any information on determining on whose coastal dishes move east or west? I really don't know. And I don't know where that line is. I'm probably only about maybe 20 miles from the ocean. So I don't know where that line is, but I've noticed that many people have written in. As a matter of fact, you guys, right now, if you're using Starlink and you're on the coast, I don't care if it's West Coast or East Coast, did your Starlink change orientation? Is it pointing over the ocean, no matter where you are? Let me know. Put it in the comments below. Let's see. Richard says, thanks. Does VPN reduce the speed of Starlink? Does a VPN reduce the speed of Starlink? Great question, Josh. So a VPN reduces the speed of everything. The reason being is it's a VPN. It's a virtual private network that is a buffer between you and the rest of the world. And so being, you end up with additional hops between you and your data source where you're getting the information. So let's say if I'm going to ping right? 1.1.1.1, which is, I think, Cloudflare. Or if I do 8.8.8.8, I ping Google's DNS server, right? And maybe it's 6 hops to get there. That's great. If I turn my VPN on and I do that same ping, I might have 10 hops because it's going not just directly to Google, right? It's going through the VPN server and then bouncing here and there or wherever.
Right.
So VPN will slow you down a little bit, but it gives you security. It gives you military grade security. It gives you the ability to have a static IP. It gives you the ability to do port forwarding. It gives you the ability to watch TV programs like what I use PureVPN for on my TV. I actually installed it on my TV. It's a Samsung TV. There's an app that you can literally install on your TV, and every program watch the TV goes through the VPN. So I can literally, if there is a football game or soccer, right? Depends on, in the US. If there's a football game happening in, let's say, I don't know, in Brazil, and it's locked, it's landlocked, local only. Only locals can see it. I can now, on my TV, say, I want to be in Brazil. It says, okay, we're using a server in Brazil. Now I, through my TV, can watch that soccer game, football game, whatever.
Yep.
So there's a lot of uses for it, and that's it. You can just run with that.
I think in general, the amount of speed that you're going to lose going through a VPN is not going to be noticeable enough to affect anything that you're going to do.
Just depends on what server you go through, right? So if I'm going through Brazil, right, it's going to be, it's going to go from, like, let's say my latency is usually like around 30 milliseconds. If I'm going through Brazil, it's probably going to be like 90 milliseconds, right?
Sure.
But if I just want,
but if you're using a local server and
exactly,
you're just trying to mask your actual data or whatever, it's going to be negligible. And unless you're doing just a massive amount of download, with
100
Starlink and stuff.
You're 110% correct, Trevor. Absolutely, that is 110% correct. Question. Let's see. Have you ever traced where fiber optics go through under the sea? Kind of crazy. Yeah, there is massive fiber under the sea. It's absolutely crazy. Mark says, I don't see a cup of Fireside. Mark, actually, I don't have Fireside. I actually have Misty Morning, and that is it in here. The cup is kind of nasty already. Look at that. But it is what it is.
Nasty.
It is. Well, this was clean before, but it kind of is what it is.
And you're drinking that crap?
Oh, it's so good. It is so good. No, but this is literally from I made this about 10 minutes before starting the live stream. So, and it was clean. Anyways, Texas Hill County, how are you doing? Gordon from Texas Hill, welcome. Glad you're here. Let's see, Josh. Typical VPN does not slow it down. Depends on the VPN and the location associated with that. Yeah, we just talked about that, John. Absolutely. I was in Canada in October, and they have them popping up all over Ontario. What was popping up? What is popping up? I don't remember what we were talking about in this part. I'm trying to go through these comments, and there's like a lot of them, so I'm trying to get down to... if you see something, kind of skip through. Right now, I am coming through John M., North Wisconsin. 12 degrees. God bless. Yeah. Over here, let me see what it is. It is 73. Sorry. Roy says, Thailand is currently moving much of the chip manufacturing to Texas. Wow, that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. I would love to see AMD and Intel and all the rest of them building chips in Texas. I'd be happy with that. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's going to happen, but it could. Apple is opening up a plant, I believe, in Texas. I think they were in construction right around the time. I remember Trump was shaking hands. I think with Tim. I think it was like the last year he was there. Anyways, I think they're building something in Texas. I think Apple is. I hope they do. Starlink, Central Illinois, adjust from north to northwest. There you go. But that's Illinois. I wonder why it went northwest. Unless they're going over, I don't know what that is all about. That's and that's what's happening too, is when they make these adjustments, the problem is sometimes they point at a tree. Because like for me, everything's great to the north, but then to the northeast, there was a big ass tree. So I had to cut some off the top, which is fine now, but I didn't have to do that if they didn't move it. But it is what
I've got too many. I live in the middle of the woods. I've got too many big trees.
You're gonna have to fall out of a lot of trees and make a bunch of lumber out of it or firewood.
I was somewhere one day, and this guy was trying to sell me on Dish Network, and I was like, "Listen,"
Oh my God! Yeah.
I said, a dish is not going to work where I live. Oh, you can take some trees down. I said, I'm in the middle of the woods. I said, are you going to pay to have all those trees taken down? No.
MIGO U20 says feels like a negative 40 Fahrenheit in North Ontario, Canada. God. Whew.
Yeah, that's cool.
I know the feel like temperature has got to be brutal. 9 degrees, upper state New York. Agent, let me see. Imaginary Jewelry says I'm in California and Starlink using a Roku on my TV. There you go. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. Dennis M says Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin. We're at 16. Man, I'm happy with the temperature that I got here at 73 degrees. Let's see, smooth. But it's been choppy on my end at times. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. If you're getting any kind of choppy, chop, we are on Starlink. Let me know about it. I want to hear about it.
I've seen some pixelization both in our connection through Ninja and also on the mainstream. But overall, I think it's been pretty good. Like I'm looking at the stream now. I think so. I'm looking at the stream now, and I even look really clear. So that's good.
Yeah. Is everyone seeing the same thing? I mean, like I said, let me know. You know what I'm going to do, guys? How about if I do this? Did that show up? It did. Let me do this. All right. Do you see this? Let me try making this bigger like this. Oh, there it is. Oh, here we go. Do you see that? All right. So that is my live ping. So I am currently pinging Cloudflare. That's 1.1.1.1. And that is my ping. So right now we're receiving 33 ping, 50 ping, 40 ping, so on and so forth. I'll leave that ping, guys, up there. If you see the ping get nasty, you know we're going to get choppy. Anyways, John said bye. I probably missed him a long time ago because we're going through these comments from top to bottom. 22 seconds. Let's see. Stream.
A lot of other guys that do streams, they say if you have a question, put a capital Q in front of it so that way it's easier to find.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
stuff. That's a great idea.
There's a lot of comments going on between people in the chat, which is awesome, but it makes it hard to see the question. So if you guys have a question that maybe we haven't gotten to, just put it like a capital letter Q at the beginning so we can see it. It'll help it stand out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Let's see. We have Richard says living in Baltimore with FiOS. I wish we can get FiOS. Moved to the sticks in Florida, struggling for years until Starlink. Yeah, you go from FiOS to the sticks. That's a brutal move. I mean, obviously it's beautiful because you're not probably in the city any longer. But yeah, it's a struggle when you leave the city and go into a rural environment and have basically no internet or very limited internet. Basically, what I always say, the digital divide is real. You have the haves and have-nots. The haves have high speed. The have-nots have just absolute crap internet speed. Do power outages affect fiber? I think power outages affect everything. The fiber is coming into the home, into a router, into a modem, just like anything else, right? And then gets transferred into a CAT cable. So you're coming in fiber, and then it's immediately turned into like a Cat 6, Cat 7, Cat 8 cable throughout the home. So once the power is out, it doesn't matter. Even if they can feed you the fiber, you got nothing to do because your router is dead. So, it is what it is. You need a battery backup no matter what. Once the power goes, everything's gone. Let's see.
I swear by the battery backups, man. I just had to buy 2 brand new ones. But I had, when I first started working at home, I got those battery backups. Remember those big APC suckers?
Yes.
And I got the side batteries that sits on them, and
right.
I could run my plasma TV for like 2 hours on battery.
Jeez. I remember those plasma TVs. They're like 300 pounds. You need like you and 2 buddies and a keg of beer to be able to move out of.
I mean, you turn it on and the power meter starts.
Yeah.
But both of those died on me. I had all these batteries I had to get rid of. And nobody wants to take batteries. So I actually had to take all the batteries out of them Staples, come to find out, they recycle electronic equipment, but they don't take the batteries. But Lowe's takes batteries. So because they have all the rechargeables from the drills and stuff like that. So I had to take the batteries out of the backup, take them to Lowe's, and I took the boxes to Staples to get rid of them. Kind of a pain, but it worked.
No, that works. That actually will work. Let me see. Alien Drone Service says, "Do you think the Cybertruck is the closest to a modern DeLorean, the DMC-12?" Yeah, you know what? It probably is. The thing is, I don't think the Cybertruck's going to come out. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. We've seen prototypes. We've seen like a lot of stuff about that. I don't know what happened with it, but it just kind of fizzled. It was so big, and like I don't know if you were around when I said this. A friend of mine, they had an order in for the Cybertruck, and that money was returned to him, and he ended up buying another Tesla. So what that means, I don't know. I need to talk to him, and maybe I'll find something out. And if I do, maybe in the next video or something, I'll tell you. I'll just shout it out there, and people will be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But yeah. Dan says,
so that handle Alien Drone Service, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So what is it that you do? Are you a drone photography pilot?
Yeah, that's a good question. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know down below. That would be kind of cool. I have 6 inches of snow melting, 23 on temperature. Yeah. So some people were having problems with their units melting their wires, and that was a lot of people that are in the upper northeast, where it's really, really cold. And then it would have like cold spurts, and then it would get hotter, and cold spurts, and it would get hotter. The heater in the unit, the unit doesn't actually have a heater. They call it a heater, but what it does is it increases the amount of power, the amount of load that goes to the dish. Hence, the dish heats up and melts the snow and ice off the face. That's how it works. Well, what they found out is that additional amps, watts, the load on it, what would happen is it would end up melting the cables or the ends or whatnot. So I did a whole video on that. That's something to look at if you didn't watch that video. I talked about that extensively. I do think that they need to work on that. They did do a Band-Aid literally 3-4 days ago, whatever, based on, I mean, I don't even know if they watched my video, but what I said that they should do in the video, they did kinda. I thought it was kind of odd, but the way they did it is just, it doesn't really fix it. Okay, it puts a Band-Aid on it. Anyways.
Yeah, there's a lot of Band-Aids out there.
Yeah,
so Alien Drone Services, yes, he does drone photo and video.
That's awesome.
So this is kind of interesting. A complete aside from Starlink.
Yeah.
Sorry, derail the conversation.
Yeah.
But this is why I asked. So there is a local county college to me that has an amazing freaking drone pilot program. They go deep, man. They go into not just giving you the lessons you need to get your license to be legal to do it for commercial and stuff, but they train you on infrared. They train you on, using it for all kinds of things, like way beyond just photos and video. They have drone repair. They have like all kinds of really cool stuff. Like you could go and take all these classes,
right? And
you could literally start a career as a drone pilot or technician and do really, really well in the business.
I mean, I think it's state by state, but I mean, they're getting to a point where you almost have to have a pilot's license just to be able to operate these things. And there's so many rules and regulations that you have to go by that it makes it very prohibitive for people to do it recreationally, for sure. Mm-hmm. But even as a business or a job, you have to have so much knowledge as to even where you're located, how many, how many miles from an airport, how many miles from this, how high in certain locations, where you can fly, where you can't fly, when can you fly. It's really, they've made it extremely difficult.
And if you're doing it for commercial use, you are supposed to be licensed.
Right.
I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are not. But if you get caught, you'll get in trouble for
absolutely.
it. But I mean, even like some of our state parks now and stuff, and in the national parks, like you have to get permits to film in there and stuff. And if you're flying a drone in there, I mean, even if you're out there just having fun, I mean, so many YouTube guys, right? I watch a lot of outdoor channels, and all these guys fly these tiny little drones, and they get some overhead shots on their property and stuff like that. That's on their property. I mean, are they making money from YouTube? Yes. Is that technically commercial videography?
Yeah, it's still a gray line. I mean, it's gray, no matter how you look at it. I don't want to. So like one of the RC shops, and as you can see, like back here, there's an HPI. This is a nitro fuel car that I love RCs. I've raced them. Anyways, one of the RC shops that used to sell drones stopped selling drones because there was too many rules and regulations. They didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I mean, that's a problem, and that's what I predicted that was going to happen. That's the way it is. Urbis RR says, I've got no obstructions, but my ping started spiking to 100, and I guess it's just me, but I've never had this problem when I was streaming live videos. Maybe it's congestion. Yes, congestion is a major factor. I'm very close to a theme park and a KOA location at the theme park. So what that means is when all those RVers and all those people show up during events, instead of being, let's say, 50 people in my cell, right? I now all of a sudden have 500 people in my cell. What happens to my service? I'll let you guess. Ubiquity, all things. Life says, Ubiquity is a very, very good system. I have a couple of routers that I am working on testing right now. The last one I tested was a UTT. I also have a 20X that I'm going to be testing coming up soon, but I'll get into that later. Josh says, will the Gen 1 router work with Gen 2 equipment? I think what happens is they just give you a new router. Whenever you get new dish, they give you a new router too. And a lot of it has to do with firmware and just, that's just how it always has been. Also, I've noticed when people have gotten new cables because the cables have melted because of this melting cable issue, due to load, what I think. Anyways, they are actually sending new routers too with the new cables and sometimes a new dish too. So, it is what it is. Asus routers have my vote. That's what Dan said. Asus is good too. Let's see. Unbroken says, I found it funny that the snow of the day would record breaks. Yes. Let me see. Let's see.
That was all over the news, man. Our local weather people here in New York, that's what he's talking about, the New York area.
Yeah.
So our local weather people here in New York, man, they were having a field day.
Oh, the snow days?
No, lack of snow days.
Oh,
like no snow.
Gotcha,
We've had no snow up here at all. I think we've had about maybe 3 inches. So they're talking about a measurable amount of snow. So, and then right after they said that, we down here, we got a little bit of snow, but I know further in upstate New York and stuff, they got a little bit more.
That's crazy.
But this is some weird stuff.
Where the hell did all the snow go? I don't get it. What's going on?
We're in the beginning of February, and we have not had much snow at all.
Yeah, I know. Last year, you guys were pummeled with snow last year. So
yeah, we got.
Who knows? It's just crazy. It really is. Let me see. Scott from South Carolina says, "Are the satellites basketball size?" No, they are big. They're much bigger than a basketball size. They are pretty large. Probably the size of a basketball size would be like a mini satellite. And that would probably be the size like this big, maybe like 2-3 feet with the little minis. But yeah, satellites are pretty big and very heavy too. You're talking about like they're large. Let's see. Jason says I think it was only the version 1.5 now. Yes, but I think they have some 2.0s up there, Jason. Jason J. I think they have some 2.0s. Don't quote me, but I'm almost positive they launched the first 2.0s at the end of last year or the beginning of this year. So. Airbus RR says, did you see the Starlink has pushed back the basic data to April? I did not see that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So what he's alluding to here is saying that they're not going to do the data capping and the reduction in speed now until April. Originally, it was going to be like January, and then it went to February, March, whatever. Now we're all the way to April. Who knows? If they can get their crap together, they're not going to have to do this, right? So I hope they're able to launch hundreds and hundreds of more satellites and get those version 2s up there. See, the major problem that they were having is they couldn't launch the Falcon Heavy rocket that can actually support a ton of version 2 satellites into orbit, right? So they had to create a new fairing at the top for the Falcon 9s that would only house a few of the smaller versions of the 2.0s. Right? So once they have that Falcon Heavy going up and down, up and down, up and down, fairing these larger 2.0s, I think everything is just going to change and for the better. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. We just, you really don't know. Russell says Starlink third generation dish, woot, from Alaska. Yeah, it would be nice to see that. It is going to be bigger. They're saying 23 inches. They're going to do some testing of about 200 units. That's what they have authorized by the FCC to test. So 200 units, right around the size of 23, maximum size of 23 inches by 15.1 inches, okay? Which is bigger because the current units that we're using are like 22 inches or so, or 20 inches by 12 inches. So you're talking about 3 more inches wide, another inch taller. That is going to be a bigger array. So you're going to have less rain fade. You're going to end up seeing more of the sky. Less problems. So yeah, I'm eager to see what they do with that. I hope that they use that satellite that dish, just like they did with the high performance version, and sell it at the same cost. So maybe $599, maybe $499, whatever, for the actual new version 3, the new dish, and that's it. Whereas the business grade, which is like 22 by like 20 or something. It's like square and big. That thing goes for $2,500. So that is a lot of money. It's good, but yeah, I will wait on that. I don't have $2,500 just burning a hole in my back pocket. I don't know. It's just not going to happen.
There was actually a question. You'll come across it here soon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Asking about the price of the dish. So that's what you answered.
Yeah, so the price of the dish, $2,500 was the business class. This version 3. Let's call it the third generation. There's no date on when this is going to come out. They are doing tests. So they are doing tests on 200 configurations. And the configuration that works the best, that's what they're going to base the next generation on. So how long that will be from now, I really don't know. Gordon says, I'm getting 50 to 70 megabits per second. Not bad, Gordon. That's not bad. I mean, that is like basic speed. It's not priority speed. But I mean, like right now, I'm probably getting about 100 to 150. That's about where I'm at. The up speed is what just pains me because I used to get like about 40 megabits up, 35 megabits up, and now I'm only getting about 10 to 15. Beggars can't be choosers. That's still literally 10 times faster than what I was getting before.
Yeah, and it's still enough to get your videos up to YouTube. So
absolutely.
And that's really what you need your upload for, is those YouTube videos. So
yeah, Scott said he had to take his best effort. Had to take the best effort. Starlink, 100 down, 15 up. That at best effort. That's awesome. People ask me, should I get best effort? Because I cannot get actual service in my location. Starlink offers you that. You can get best effort, or you can get RV, roaming type of thing. And even if you're in a location that's fully saturated. I always tell people to do it and then later on upgrade if they can. Don't get RV, get best effort. Because best effort can turn into residential. RV cannot. You have to buy another unit. Okay, so don't get it twisted and like screw up. Get best effort, because even though it's best effort, it's basic coverage, basic service, which is supposedly about 50% slower than priority. When there's no congestion, you're going to get full speed. That's it. So when there is congestion, I'm going to get faster speeds than you because I have priority data, whereas you have best effort. But who cares, right? Especially if you're in an area that doesn't have, like me, a damn KOA down the road, you're not going to have to worry about it, right? Get best effort and then have it converted once it's available in your area. Cut back the trees. Yes, my obstruction of speed. 50 seconds, 2 minutes. Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah. The trees are the biggest thing for Starlink. You really need to make sure there's no obstructions. If not, it just simply doesn't work, period. It's not like cell phone where it goes through everything, right? This does not. Let's see. Roy from California, residential service. How you doing, Roy? Let's see what else we have here. Peter says 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down on fiber in Denmark. Peter Madsen, yes, 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down, fiber in Denmark. So, Peter, I hate you. Yeah, so I said this in my last stream, and people don't understand this. If you are someone that's in the United States, you are under the delusion that the United States is the best. We're the greatest, the best, right? We have the best everything. We have the best internet. The point of the matter is that is a fallacy, 110% fallacy. I am a first generation American. My family are all overseas, Germany, Sicily, all over in Europe, UK, everyone's overseas, right? I have family members that are sitting in a damn shack on the top of a mountain in Sicily getting faster service. Same thing in Germany, getting faster service than I do here with Uverse, AT&T. All right? So, yes, here you're seeing a guy in Denmark getting a gig up, a gig down, right? And I can't get it here. All right? And a lot of people can't. Are there people getting fiber here in the US? Yes. But guess what? My daughter just got a home, right? She got married. They got a home now. They have brand new fiber, brand new community. It's being fleshed out right now. Brand new fiber. They get about 500 meg, I think, 300 meg, 100 meg up, 200 meg up, something like this. They don't got gigabit bidirectionally. They don't. So that's my vent. It's all bullshit. And everything that you hear about the US being fantastic and great when it comes to internet and stuff are 100% mistruths. It's lies. And I can tell you that from just as a fact, absolutely factual. Anyways, yeah, sorry about that. There's something there for Trevor. I see something about pizza. I don't know. Let's see. I thought you guys met on a swingers cruise. Yes, I think that weren't we on a swingers cruise there, Trevor? I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I don't want to get into the cruise that we were on. So let's see. I can get 300 megabits down times. Yes. 25. Yeah. So, Dan, I think it's good. I wouldn't complain. 100 megabits down even. I would not complain about that. I think that's fantastic. If you can get 25 megs up, see, I would like to have 20 to 25 megs up. I'd be happy with that. I don't need the 40. 20 to 25 would be good for me. Getting 10 kind of gets me a little bit pissed, but it is what it is. Like I said, beggars can't be choosers, and it is 10 times the speed of what I was getting before. Right. Let's see what else we got.
In the amount of money you're paying per month for it, it's a little bit more, right? It's a little bit elevated of a price, but again, you're getting a much better speed,
right?
When there's no other option,
right?
In my area, going back to the company that's laying fiber, the monthly cost is the same.
Right.
And the reliability will be so much better. The overall speed will be so much better. I mean, if I want to upgrade to gig in both directions, which, bro, that's actually going to be an option.
No,
I'm
absolutely.
going to pay a lot more per month for that.
100%.
But, and again, do I need it? Probably not. As I
You know what?
start
Need it or
doing
not, take it.
uploading
Whenever
more
you can get
videos.
it. I tell
Yeah.
people all the time, whenever you can get it, if they say, "Oh, we now have a faster plan," just get it. Just get it.
Yeah.
If it's usually a few dollars difference. It's never like
Yeah.
a massive amount. Just get it. CJ Brown says, has Starlink made a decision about offering heavier gauge cable to those who want it? No. I put that out in my video that if Starlink, if you don't know, the cable that they use is basically like a Cat6 cable, PoE or Power over Ethernet type of cable with proprietary ends on it, which is stupid, but that's what they did. The problem is the internals of the cable. I don't have it here. I broke down one of anyway, the internals of the cable look to me around a 24, 28, maybe 26 AWG gauge. I mean, I would like to see 18, maybe even thicker than that to be able to support the amount of watts and amps that are being pushed to it to heat up the electronics in the dish to melt off the snow and ice. So, do they offer it as of yet? No. What they did is they offered on your phone, on the app, a sleep mode, which is not exactly what we were looking for. But yeah, they offered up this sleep mode. Matter of fact, let me see, guys. I'll see if I can find it here and I'll show you. They offered up this sleep mode, and then in there, instead of saying, what it's actually truly for, here we go. So you probably can't, I don't know, maybe you can see it. Yeah, there you go. Maybe you see it if I get it out of my eyes. Yeah, so they offer this sleep mode. So what it says conserve power by scheduling your Starlink to sleep. I don't want the damn thing to sleep. Starlink won't provide internet or melt snow while sleeping. You see, melt snow. You see how that's integrated? Melt snow.
Yeah.
Accumulated snow may take several hours to melt after the Starlink wakes up, and you may need to clear off the snow to resume service. So they made this sleep thing as a Band-Aid. So I said in my video, the programmers need to make something to duty cycle the increasing heat algorithm, let's say. So once the dish gets to a certain temperature, what it does is it increases the load to it. It increases the watts, the amps, or whatever. And that heats up the internals, which in turn melts the snow and melts the ice. So what my idea was, what I put out there was, well, how about if we did a duty cycle and say, okay, we're going to heat it up for 5 minutes and then shut that off. And then come back to normal wattage, normal amps. And then 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Whatever the duty cycle needs to be able to still melt the snow, but not melt the damn cable. That was, to me, a means, right, to Band-Aid the situation. The true means of doing it would be getting a better damn cable, a thicker gauge cable that can handle the watts, the amp, the load, right?
Yeah.
They came up with this crap. So it was kind of like what I said, but it wasn't. This is good if you're an RVer and you want to turn off your Starlink between the hours of, let's say, midnight and 6 a.m. because you're not going to use it and you want to save your battery in your RV. Fine. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But they need the same exact type of thing for the heater. In quotes, there's no real heater, but for the heater. So they can duty cycle that damn thing instead of melting the cables until they start putting out better cable. So I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it is what it is. It's a new service and they're trying to figure it out. And this is like I said, this is a brilliant guy. And it kind of pains me to know that he can launch a damn rocket, to the moon and possibly to Mars, but the engineers can't figure out, amp loads and watts and how much can travel through, let's call it a 28 AWG, PoE cable. This is not rocket science, and pardon the pun. It's not. I mean, this is
that part's not rocket science.
This is not. This is simple mathematics, right? I can figure it out down to the exact amount for the duration, because you're taking the exact amount that it can handle, and then you're taking that and calculating it through a bell curve of the duration. and how long it can handle it before it burns out, right? Anyways, we're digressing here. The other thing Unbroken says, is Verizon still relevant in internet as an internet provider? In the US, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, all the rest of them suck, okay? Overseas, they suck less. T-Mobile from Deutsche Telekom, German company, right? Deutsche. You get 5G overseas. Here in the United States, there is clusters of 5G this big, like here, there, and elsewhere. And you're in the outer periphery of that 5G area, you're not getting it. So at my location, they have 5G in these little spotty areas in the center of the city and stuff. Where I am, I'm not that far away from the city. I don't have any of it. I got LTE.
I don't have 5G here at the house.
Yeah, you don't have it. No. Because 5G is nowhere. They've been talking about 5G for so many damn years. It's such BS, okay? It's BS. If you have it and you're in the city, it is phenomenally fast. 5G could be the future, but it's not here yet because they haven't, it's not grown out. And now what Elon has done is he's went into bed with T-Mobile. So a lot of the backhauling is going to be done through T-Mobile and through Starlink. So they're going to work together, okay, to get service in locations that have never gotten service before. So it's interesting. It's an interesting marriage between the two of them. We'll see how it turns out. But Apple is doing the same kind of thing. And I forgot who they're using for it, for their emergency service, some BS or whatever. You know, they see Elon doing it, and then Apple's like, holy crap, are we not in on this? You know, fire all the engineers, fire everyone. I don't know what's going on. Why are we not ahead of the game? They dropped the ball. So, but they're doing something similar to that right now. But yes, Verizon, T-Mobile, all that. I can't get Verizon home. I can't get T-Mobile home. I can't get, AT&T. None of them. All right. They just simply don't work, period. And you don't have 5G where you are either, right? In Jersey?
We do, but not here at the house.
Exactly.
If I go down in town,
a little bit, like a little place.
Yeah, if I go 10 minutes down into town, I get 2 to 3 bars of 5G, which is really fast, data-wise. Hey, here's something interesting. So anybody that is a first responder, EMT, police, fire, and if you're on AT&T, they have a service called FirstNet. So it's FirstNet AT&T.
Right.
This is a really interesting service because it allows you as a first responder to get on this higher speed cell network system. So it gives you the ability to, you have like unlimited data, unlimited texting, all that good stuff. But the speeds and the reliability. So there's a service level on these towers. So my understanding is if they go down, they need to be back up and running in 45 minutes. On the regular consumer cell towers, they'll get back up when they get back up. The price for the plan is reasonable. We're getting 50 gigs of hotspot data with that plan through the family. So my wife is an NP, so she's classified as a first responder. So we were able to get on this plan, and it allows us to, each one of our 4 phones has 50 gigs of hotspot data. It has 5G, it has unlimited data from the phone itself. It's really a great plan.
Yeah, that's really cool. If you're a first responder, I'm glad that they do that stuff because, in the case of emergency, you need to have coverage. I think that's awesome. Radio Hobo says, is the bigger square dish any better? So what he's referring to, the bigger square dish, is the business class dish, and it is square. It's like 22 inches by like 20 inches or something. It's a big square dish. The dish itself is better. You can buy that dish for $2,500 and use it on your $110 a month service. So yes, you're going to get a little better coverage. You're going to get less rain fade. It's a larger array, right? So yes, it is better. Now, it's $2,500. Is it
Yeah.
$2,500 better? It depends. Depends
Yeah.
on who you are. Now, if you were to get that array, that antenna, for $2,500. They did have a deal where they were doing like I think $1,900 during the holidays. I think $600 off. I don't know. Anyways, if you got that antenna, but also got the business class service, which is $500 a month instead of $110 a month. Well, at that point, it's much better because now you don't have this throttling story going on. You have faster speeds. You are now priority. You get
Right.
really obviously you're paying $500 a month. So it really depends.
Better
And
get something for that.
yeah, absolutely. Everyone is different. Starship test looking good. Yes, Starship is looking good. I want to see that thing launching like weekly, like they've been doing with the Falcon 9s. That would be sweet. They've been struggling. There is so many government agencies that have been breaking Elon's balls with this Starship, with noise, with this, with that, with ISS issues. Like if your Starship blows up and it's too close to the other ISS pad, then we're not going to be able to get equipment and supplies to the International Space Center. They've been giving him such crap. That's why it's been taking so long. That's one of the reasons why he decided to make a smaller version of the version 2s and then put them in a horizontal orientation in the fairing on the top of a Falcon 9 just to get something out there. This is waiting on this damn thing. Anyways, so yeah, it's eventually, hopefully soon, we're going to see that, the Falcon Heavy, let's say, the Starship being able to go up and down, just like the Falcon 9s. But we'll see what ends up happening with that. Let's see what else we have here. Business class better, allow port forwarding, and able to compete against it. So I don't know. So Ham Radio Hobo says his business class is off the port forwarding thing. I don't think that any of them provide port forwarding, including the business class, nor a static IP address. If someone knows this definitively, let me know I'm wrong. But I don't think so. I think all of Starlink service goes through a POP or a point of presence. And at that point, what that means is they are going to be that CGNAT nonsense. So you're not going to get a IP address. Let's see. What else do we got here? We're gonna have to start winding this down here. Jeez, we're getting close to almost 2 hours. I said that we weren't going to do this. Remember? I said we're going to go for an hour, and now look what happened. We're at an hour
Bro,
and
I'm
47
going to fall
minutes.
asleep soon.
My God. All right. Let's see. Anything pops out here, Trevor? Let me know. I'm just going to kind of skim through it, guys. Sorry.
There's a lot of fun back and forth chatting here. This is the time to do a live stream when everybody, after the family goes to bed, for like us. It's great because you could get on here and you could just shoot the shit for a couple hours and have a good time. There's a lot of joking going on. There's a lot of great stuff going on in here. This is fun. This is good stuff.
This is the good stuff, right? We didn't talk. We didn't talk as much about the Sony stuff that was happening. A lot of people got into the SpaceX Starlink stuff. I've been covering a lot of it as of late, just because people want to hear about it. It's the backstory on that is I got it, and then I just started talking about it and providing my experience with people, and then people just liked it. And instead of holding back, I was just giving them all of the information as I was getting it. And I was providing like tricks and tips and like how to do stuff. And like, I would teach them, let's say, how to get Starlink when no one else can get it. And then literally that method was ripped right out. Like literally within 2 weeks, they said, no, can't do that. So I'm wondering if
They're subscribed to your channel, bro.
I wonder if someone's watching this because
Yeah,
it's
they're
really odd.
watching.
Like it's like I'll come up with something, then all of a sudden I'll see it, like that whole app thing, or it's like all of a sudden it popped up, and I don't know. I never heard it anywhere else. But anyway, so hopefully, if anyone from SpaceX is listening, number one, put out a thicker gauge cable that people can buy as of now. Number one, that would work, and then all kits going forward will get the thicker gauge cable. That will help. Number two, I absolutely love the ability to put the machine to sleep, right? Put the router, put the entire Starlink to sleep. I think it's fantastic, especially if you're on a battery constraint and you don't need it during that time. Yes, you can do it like what I was doing on a timer, but then you're turning the whole thing off and then having to reboot it. Putting it to sleep is a nicer way to go. I love it. Thank you very much. But also work on the duty cycle until that hard fix is made with the cabling, okay, or the priority ends or whatever, the proprietary ends that they have. Those are just there's a problem. I don't know if it's a cable or with the ends. It's probably both. Anyways, that would make more sense. So hopefully they do something with that. Let's see. Anything that pops out, Trevor, you let me know. If not, we're going to get going. I see Greg Smith is in here. Seems the dish heater should have an option to only turn on if the temperature is below freezing. And then, yes, it does. It does do that. But, and that's when it's on auto. But for some reason, it still ends up burning up. And I don't know why. Maybe it's for an extended period of time, even though it's below freezing. Maybe it's below freezing for 3 days straight. Who the hell knows? And now this thing is pumping, double the amount of amp load to the thing, and it just can't handle it, and it ends up melting the cable. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see.
Well, and that's something that they'll fix. They'll push out updated cables. They'll, the new kits will come with them. It's all of this stuff is being produced so fast and so within such a short amount of time. I mean, you've only been doing this. I mean, how long have you been covering?
Like a year
now.
I think.
Yeah, about a year. So, and how many iterations have they gone through already? With the different dishes and the different equipment and stuff. So everything is changing so fast. It will all get up to speed, and all these problems will get fixed. I mean, they're invested in this. It's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going anywhere.
So absolutely, I mean, they're going to make everything work. But you starting out sharing this information, I mean, it was good timing. You were the use case scenario. You needed faster internet access for what you were doing, and Starlink was the best option you had at the time. And
I just started discussing it, talking about it.
With you being a tech person, having that tech background, it was a natural fit, and you really jumped into this early, and you really have become kind of the YouTube expert about Starlink. Pretty much.
I try to stay abreast of things. I'm not right about everything. And, I don't view myself as an expert. I just view myself as just another, Starlink user that as I gain new knowledge on something, I like to put it out there so other people can, have that knowledge also without having to do all the research that I do, So, and that's why like the channel, people ask me like, what is the channel? I view the channel as edutainment. So it's like educational, but entertaining, hopefully, at the end. I mean, that's my goal. And matter of fact, that's why I'm going to start doing this year some courses in different things. I believe one will be like video editing. I'm going to do something on mesh networks. I'm going to do something on probably NASs and whatnot. And I'm going to put together some courses because people have been asking me for it. And they say, well, I like the way you break things down and teach, or explain stuff where I didn't get it before, but now I get it. Okay. I try to simplify things as much as possible. And, hopefully people, enjoy it. And I do find that, a lot of people are. So it makes me happy. It really does.
Yeah,
that's
good.
That there's some, people are getting some value from it. Now, before anyone leaves, okay, before anyone goes anywhere, Trevor is starting a new channel. All right. And this channel is going to be kick ass. All right. And I want all of you guys to check it out. Once it's up here, I want to put a link in the comments if you can. All right. So it's going to be a Legos channel and all about Legos.
Yeah.
I love old stuff. I love vintage stuff. I love old toys. I love games. I love all this stuff, right? I'm going to have you tell us about that channel in just a second. Also, guys, I am going to start posting on a channel that I started with my son about 3 years ago or so, and it's Weekend Warfare. And I'm going to post a game that I've been playing, like kind of in the middle of the night, you know, when I can play like a half an hour here, an hour there, whatever. And it's called 7 Days to Die. But the series is going to be called 60 Days to Live. See if we can actually make it to 60 days, right? So I'm going to be playing that game. I'm going to be posting that because I have to have some damn fun too, guys. So if you guys like gameplay or just hanging out, listening to me kind of getting shot up, killed by these zombies or whatnot, then go and check that out also. I will put a link to that. It's not complete yet, but I will probably send it out in an email, and I'll probably send it in YouTube, and I'll make some reference to it probably in one of my videos too coming up. But for you, Trevor, you got the floor. Tell us about this new venture that you're doing. I'm excited about this because this is cool stuff.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. You know, it's like you just said, you need to have fun, right? For the past 13 years, I've been running my own business, my own web and graphic design business. And it's a lot of work, you know, and having a couple kids that are school age and doing all their events and stuff, you know, I've found that my time, my free time, my playtime was non-existent. You know, I used to do woodworking. I had like a bunch of other hobbies and stuff, and it all went bye-bye. And that's just what happens. Well, my kids are older now. They're teens. They need
Right.
less daddy time. And, you know, I really was looking to get into something. So, I mean, as you look around my office in the background here, you see all the toys. I mean, you see Star Wars, you see action figures, kind of. You see big Darth Vader over here. You know, I mean, there's somebody pointed out the X-Wing that was sitting on the shelf back there. And this, I love this stuff. I mean, on the shelf is the my Star Wars figures from the 70s. So they're OG figures. I love this stuff. It's so much fun. And coming into this office every day to work is such a great environment for me. Well, one of the things that I always loved was Lego.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when I was a kid, I played with Legos for hours and hours and hours. And when my kids were little, I tried getting them into Lego. And my daughter kind of was interested, but my son wanted nothing to do with it.
Right.
I think initially for him it was the dexterity to lock and work with these bricks. It was too much for him to do at the time, and he just had in his head that Lego was not something he wanted to do.
Right.
Which is a real shame. So when I was digging through my boxes at my parents' house and found all of these, you know, action figures and stuff like that, I also found a big box of Legos. These are all Legos from the late 70s and the early 80s. And man, I lit up. It was like Christmas morning again. You know, it was so cool.
So let me ask you,
that.
Trevor. So what are you going to do on the channel? Are you going to build the Legos? Are you going to show the Legos? Are you going to sell the Legos? Are you going to buy Legos, open Legos? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to drink whiskey and build Legos crooked? What are you doing with them? What are you going to do?
Well, this is an adult geared channel, so it's not meant for kids. It's not like cursing or anything like that, but it's not meant for kids. Lego has a whole following called AFOL. It's adult fans of Legos. The adults with the money to go out and spend $800 for a Millennium Falcon kit. So what I'm looking to do is I want to revisit my youth. I want to rebuild these kits that I have from when I was a kid. There's a lot of classic Lego space. I have the expert builder sets that are now called Technic. But I also love the modern stuff too. Because having that background with the original Legos, you see where it came from and you see where it is now, and you see the advancement in building techniques. So I want to build both vintage and modern sets. I'm collecting, but I'm not just building and displaying. My plan is to, create my own designs,
Right.
to modify existing things. Like one of the things that I'm working on. Hang on, I'm going to disconnect my headphones for a sec, so I don't destroy myself. Where the heck is it? There it is. Hang on one second.
You got it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking in the chat here. They're talking about Legoland, and yeah, Legoland is in a bunch of different places. I know.
Yeah, see, you made the mistake of telling me to talk about this stuff.
No,
I could talk about
Legoland.
this
Yeah.
all day.
So they were talking about Legoland. I remember taking my kids to Legoland in Florida, and it was pretty freaking cool. I mean, it was amazing. They had like Lego setups that were like the size of this office, the size of the studio, just massive dinosaur, like all kinds of like just mega things, but not mega Legos, but literally little Legos where someone sat there for damn like 9 months building these things. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Absolutely. It was very, very cool to see for sure.
So one of the things I want to do is like this right here is a Jeep Wrangler. It's a Technic set.
Sweet. Look at that thing.
Yeah, it's a Rubicon. I mean, it's got, the hood opens, the doors open. But
so is that a Lego or is that the Technic? What is that?
Yeah, it's a Lego Technic.
It is the Technic. So it has like lights and motors and crap on there?
No motors. Technic is the building style. So that is the style with the pegs and the holes and stuff like that. It's a lot more intricate, and you really have to get into model building to work on these things. But like this is a great effort from the Lego designers to create something that kind of resembles a Jeep Wrangler. Kudos to them. But there's things that are off, like a Wrangler, for example. Like I'm big into off-roading. That's why I was talking about it before. Wranglers have solid axles, and you can see that this pivots up and down, and that resembles a solid axle. The back is kind of the same way, but it just pivots. It doesn't articulate. So, really the way these are designed is they have control arms in the front and the rear, which allows it to go down and rotate, and pivot left to right. Pivot. So the whole idea of the Technic sets are they're very detailed, and they really bring in like how things are built. So what I want to do is strip the bottom of this off and actually build a control arm system with shocks.
Wow.
And do mods like that. So that's really, I love doing that stuff, man. I could geek out on this stuff like all day long.
So you know what? So Arnie says that the first one was in Denmark. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, Lego originates in Denmark. That's where the production is, and they have a main headquarters, but they actually have headquarters right here in Connecticut. Oh, wow. So really not that far from me.
So you know what? In the chat, before we start losing people, put the channel. What is the it's youtube.com/what? Stick it in there.
It is Brick Hackers. Brick Hackers. Yep. So right now there's nothing on there. I literally just yesterday created the channel. So it's basically a placeholder right now. It's got my photo in there. You'll see me. I started the Instagram for it. The same thing. Brick Hackers is the handle. I posted a couple things in there already. I actually posted a kit that I got. I found in a box. It's a classic Lego space. It's from 1987. And I posted a photo of it in a group on Facebook that's all about classic space. People went nuts. They thought this was the greatest thing. They were thrilled about that. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Trevor,
it's something
I just subscribed,
completely different.
So I hope other people do too. And this way we can get that. I can't wait to see what you do with this, because I just think it's cool. we do what we do, but there has to always be like this outlet. You're not trying to, like when I first started doing this, I wasn't trying to do anything specific, now things have changed, obviously. Now it's
Sure.
like it's become, it's completely metamorphosized, to something completely not what I originally intended when I first started doing the YouTube stuff. But I really enjoy it. So you never know
Yeah.
what you're going to like and not like. And I hope that you have success with this, because at least it's something that you really enjoy doing. Same thing with me playing the video games. Hopefully someone watches, and gets some enjoyment out of it. And that's all that I ask. I'm not, we're not, the content creators out here, we're not really, asking for money. Most of the time, the most that we want is just some thumbs ups, just to give, some type of understanding that that people are actually enjoying what they're seeing. And I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, everything else, kind of comes as time goes by. But anyways, Trevor, I don't see him here. That means that his camera probably just died after 2 hours. Is probably what happened. Let me see. How many hours? Yeah, it's 2 hours and 4 minutes. That's probably the time. Oh, wait, you're back.
I'm back.
Did the camera die?
No, you know what happened? I clicked a tab.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
I wound
crap,
up Xing
Trevor's
out of
gone.
it. Yeah. I went.
Well, anyways,
user
guys,
error.
So, anyways, Trevor, I just want to thank you for being on. If you guys want to see more of us do this kind of thing, if you want to see more live stuff, just let me know. If you want to, reach out to Trevor, you can do that. Definitely go and check out his channel once that gets all up and running. I'm excited to see what you do with that. But at any rate, I just want to say thanks a lot for being on, Trevor. This has been fun for sure tonight.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I like doing this. It's good. It's a good way to spend a couple hours.
Yeah, kind of hanging out and shooting it, so to speak. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. If there was any questions that we didn't get to, there was hundreds that came through here, a lot of comments and the chats. But if there's anything that was not answered, you can always put it into the next video that I come up with. Or if you want, you can also DM me. You can go straight over to JCristina.com into the contacts and reach out to me there. So anyways, thank you so much for being here. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.